Welcome to the American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Phil Sitter, CEO and founder at RepeatMD.
Refresh your body, mind, and career at the Women in Aesthetic Leadership Conference, being held October 3rd through 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicate their time to the health and happiness of others, this is the opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with a bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalc.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALK10. That's WALC10.
Promo code valid for standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any other additional offers.
All right, everybody, welcome to the program. Alex Thiersch here. This is Medical Spa Insider. And on the AmSpa hotline, a repeat visitor, our good friend, AmSpa supporter, the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Sitter with RepeatMD. Phil, welcome back to the program. RepeatMD, you've been on, I want to say a couple times.
Yeah.
RepeatMD obviously has had some great success. You guys are, the membership gurus. I would say you've kind of taken over that space. Not to mention the kings of giveaways, which I'm also excited to say. It's been cool to watch you guys grow. But first, and we got a lot to talk about. We want to talk about selling memberships. That's what you guys do well. We're getting ready to hit Q4, which is kind of frightening to imagine. We are here in the latter part of September. But before we get into that, I'd love to just catch up with you and hear how you're doing. Well, how's business? How are things? What you're seeing with the industry?
Yeah. Great to see you again. Been a longtime
Likewise.
friend and supporter of AmSpa, and we're coming a little over 3 years old as a company. And I remember just on the topics of memberships, I remember being on stage at AmSpa and having people raise their hand if they were doing memberships. And at that time, about 20% of the room might have raised their hand. Now you go in a room, it's 75, 80%, maybe even 90% in some rooms that are doing it, which actually poses a whole different type of problem. So back then when we talked about memberships, the issue was which ones are the right fit for my practice and like, how do I get started? Now everyone's doing them, but a majority of them are doing them wrong. And so, here's how I define wrong. Are you getting any success from it? Is the recurring revenue starting to pay for your overhead? And if you're doing under $5,000 a month in memberships today, then you have some room for improvement. So I'm excited to dive in today about this topic. I want to make everything we talk about practical and tactical, and so that's what today is going to be all about. As far as how RepeatMD is doing, it's been a rocket ship, right? So we have over 4,000 practices now that use RepeatMD. We're in in the USA, we're in Canada. We generate about $2 billion a year for our clients. Of that, about 300 million a year is just membership. So, the reality is I could be a total idiot and still see the patterns, right? And talk about those patterns because we have all the best practices selling them. And, we've raised a bunch of capital as well. To date, we've raised about $60 million to expand in what we do and make the technology better and better and better. And, also we have a super exciting release on October 21st where we're going to show the world what we've been working on, which is RepeatMD V3. So things are great. Industry landscape is changing, consolidation, people going out of business, people jumping into business, all sorts of different things. I would say it's one of the best of times, one of the scariest of times for small business owners. And internally, we call it the institutions versus the independents. And I'm a restaurateur, so I've, a guy like me has
been through this.
5 generations in the restaurant industry. I had 1,200 employees. I was in business for 14 years in restaurants. And I'll tell you, the independents, times are going to get tougher if they don't start standing up for better patient experience and, all the other, the legal things that we see in the industry as well. So I think that it's time for us to really focus on the industry, especially if you're a one or two
Yeah.
location practice.
Yeah, there's a lot I want to dig into, and we want to get into. I think you're right, the practical and tactical about selling more memberships. We want to do that, but I would love to dig into what you just talked about a little bit more, because I think it's a great point, and I think but you mentioned institutional versus independent kind of thing,
Yeah.
and the potential for this to get a little rockier. And obviously with your experience in restaurants, you've kind of probably been through the highs and the lows of
Oh, yeah.
consolidation and all these things. I think, there's a lot going on right now. It's not just the consolidation, right? That certainly is happening, but there's still a ton of independent medical aesthetic practices out there. But that's one piece of it, but it's also there's just kind of this, I don't know, a little bit of uncertainty, and everyone's just a little bit. I was talking to some folks the other day about this at this conference I was at, and just everyone's just kind of a little bit puzzled and a little uncertain as to what is going to happen. So it's like, what's the future? What's this all going to look like? I'm just curious, like when you say the institution versus the independent, how and the independents have to kind of stand up for themselves and do the right thing. What's your experience with how that kind of can end up if they do? Because this can go a lot of different ways, right? I mean, there's a lot of different kind of versions for how this can work. I see it really in this industry as a real opportunity for these independents to do the right thing and to be able to kind of to create a strong independent industry that is continues to be dominated by the one and two location med spas.
So only you can speak to the compliance on the legal side
Sure.
that we're experiencing, but I'll speak from our side in terms of patient and practice experience. So um, we pulled together just recently for the upcoming V3 release in terms of all of the roll-ups and funds that are looking to invest in the space.
Hmm.
If you add it all together, it's north of 500 to $1 billion, 500 million to $1 billion.
That
So what does that
makes
mean?
sense.
Right? What does that mean? Well, that means consolidation, that means private
Mhm.
equity, but that also means resources and tools. Because if you understand the private equity playbook, it's to make those practices more efficient, make those
Right.
practices better, make those practices have an increase of lifetime value. Well, so if it's an increase of lifetime value, we have to look at what does the patient experience want, right? That's why we harp on memberships. A person coming in 5, 8, 10 times a year is more valuable than a person coming in 2 or 3 times for their Botox and leaving, right? If you look at patient financing, the ability for patients to transact at a higher ticket purchase, consumer debt is the, and you might know this, Alex, consumer debt is the highest it's ever been in
Hmm.
history. People are
Hmm.
financing burritos for God's sakes, right? So
Hmm.
it's like,
Yep.
if you think about that, okay, well, what does private equity say? Hey, how do we make sure that anyone can afford these treatments, right? And so what I'm referring to is patient experience with the convergence of aesthetics, wellness, and longevity. Is your practice part of the cutting edge? Because that's what patients are expecting. You can't be 5 years behind anymore. Why? Because you have these monster institutions investing in all these practices to make sure they're always ahead. So, to
Right.
David Goliath's story from a patient experience level, this practice has incredible tools. This practice has retention mechanisms to make sure their patients are showing up on time or that they're showing up at all. Uh, the, Talking about the institutional practices,
Yeah.
that they have all of these tools and all of these resources to squeeze the orange for every last drop. And if you are an independent and you're still an artist, and that
Hmm.
is what you are, right?
Hmm.
Like you love the art of transforming patients' lives, but then you have $1 billion of institutional capital against you, squeezing for every last drop, you will eventually lose that, right? And
Hmm.
so that's the problem is we have this incredible industry, just like what the industry I come from. You have these incredible chefs, these incredible passionate people about making their food. But eventually you're going to get out operationalized by giants because the
Hmm.
capital is just too big. How do you compete when there's a CFO, a CMO, a marketing team, um, you know, a buying team, right, to make sure that purchasing, fulfillment, all of that, online skincare, these practices eventually can dominate, out operationalize, and then eventually lower the cost so they can
Yep.
beat you on cost. And
Hmm.
so, and you are right though, there is this incredible piece of being a local business that, in the independent world, if you have tools and the resources, but you still have your heart in the game and the ability to transform patients' lives and have that unique relationship, you can win. You can
Hmm.
absolutely win because think about this, Alex, and you know this. Think about the restaurant industry in the 90s, early 2000s. What was the most compelling? Olive Garden, Red Lobster, TGI
Hmm.
Fridays, the big boy chains.
Hmm.
There was this whole thing in restaurants that everybody loved the chains.
Right.
Where are the chains today? The chains are
Well,
gone.
yeah.
They're like no one who
Yeah.
I used
Well,
to
the
love
chains are,
Olive
I mean, the
Garden.
chains aren't chains. They're independent restaurants
Yeah.
owned by bigger groups, right?
So think about that, right? So the chains, the Olive Gardens of the world, and all these incredible institutional change, they're completely irrelevant now.
Yeah.
Now in the restaurant industry, we love high-end, super local, passionate restaurateurs. And
Hmm.
that's the type of restaurant that we want to go to. We want to go to the highly curated, highly specialized, beautifully done restaurants. And that can either be an independent,
Right.
one or two locations, or it can be a hyper specialized chain, right?
Right.
But not the Olive Gardens. We're talking about, if you like, I'm really talking it now, restaurant industry, the Fox Restaurant Group. They own Flower
Yeah.
Child, North Italia, etc. Right?
Right. Right.
And so what I'm saying is if you're local, right, and you have one location, you really have to obsess about the patient experience, right? And you really want to make sure you've invested in the operational tools that the big chains are going to be using,
Mm.
right, to maximize patient lifetime value. Because if a patient spends more at my practice, I can lower their cost, right? So you might have to charge somebody $17 a unit. Well, what happens when Peachy does a full face correction for pennies on the dollar, right?
Hmm.
Because they're so good at upselling everything else.
Hmm.
And their branding is
Yes.
great, and they have CMO, and they're running commercial ads, and this and that, and everything. So
Yeah.
again, the time is now to really make sure that your patient experience is top tier. And there's no reason why, with tools out there today, to not invest in the technology to enhance the patient experience. That's my obsession because I'm a small business guy. I've always been a small business guy. How do we give our practices the tools to outcompete like the biggest chains, the biggest
Hmm.
consolidations? And
Yeah.
it comes down to the patient experience because that's why we now choose the restaurants because it comes down to that experience of that wonderful establishment, not the Olive Gardens.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting take. And I think it's certainly dead on, and certainly I know that's the perspective of the private equity groups and the investors that are bundling up these practices because they see it as a longer term play where ultimately they're all going to drive down their costs, and it's going to be impossible to compete if you're a
How can you?
if you're an independent. And that's kind of, ultimately they think the more that happens, the cheaper it's going to get for them to buy more places. And ultimately, I mean, that's the play. So if that's the ultimate goal of theirs and we want to help the independents and patient experience is, one of the things that, the biggest thing that we've always seen, that's the biggest thing that people go to when it comes to these practices. Um, you're focused on memberships. You mentioned, now everyone's got a membership, and you're right. It seems like memberships are ubiquitous. I mean, everything is a membership. You can't
Right.
go anywhere. You can go to the gas station and it's a membership, right? It's seriously, and it's like so
Restoration hardware is a membership. Furniture store is
exactly
a membership. Yeah.
everything. I mean, there's everything. So what's the secret sauce there? I mean, you said people are doing it wrong. A lot of folks are doing it wrong.
Yep.
Um, what are some takeaways to get people to sell more of these? How do they do better
Right.
in an economic situation, competitive situation like we are?
So it really comes down to 7 ways, right? We talk about this all the time because with RepeatMD, we build the practice its own mobile rewards app like Starbucks Rewards. Then the patient can buy memberships, buy packages, buy treatments, finance, and be rewarded. But a huge part of that is the recurring revenue side, right? How do we get them to buy more memberships? And I think the first thing is to understand the value of memberships, right? It's predictable revenue. It's
Right.
never having to start at zero, you know each month you have money coming in, which is really important for all of your fixed costs, your electricity, your rent, etc. And so for us, we always talk about there's 7 ways to immediately sell more memberships. And the first way I think is one of the most important ways because it's something, and by the way, everything I talked to you about today, I feel very strongly, number one, you've never heard. And number two, it can provide immediate results. You don't need to do all 7. You need to do like 1 or
Sure.
2 and commit. And so
Sure.
the first way, and again, this is a hack, but this works immediately. Make memberships the only way to save.
Hmm.
Immediately
Yep.
stop doing discounts on everything. Do promotions, Labor Day, Black Friday, whatever. But Tuesday through Friday, without a holiday, you should only make VIP membership based pricing for
Right.
all of your treatments. And you should let people know about that, right? Like as somebody is buying, this is the second way, right? So first, stop discounting and
Yep.
start doing VIP member pricing. If you want to see a great example of that, any RepeatMD app has it, or go to Restoration Hardware, right?
Yep.
The $1 billion furniture brand. They will show you regular price and member price. That's what you want. You want to always be advertising your memberships in a way that shows value.
Right.
Leading into the second way, anytime somebody register, and anytime someone's at the register, you need to show them what they would save if they became a
Hmm.
member. Like that day, they
Yeah.
sign up, they save. There should never be a moment that someone walks to the register and your front desk is not showing they could have saved $200, $400, $1,000 today.
Yeah. And are you talking like actual dollar amounts? Because I've seen it. Oh, you want to save 5% or 10%?
Dollars.
Yep.
Who
Yep.
cares? What does 5% mean? Who gives a shit?
No, I agree. That's when they say that
Dollars.
to me, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't
Who
care.
knows? I don't know, 5%,
Yeah.
who cares, right? But listen, like when you have these higher, treatment, these costs, $500 on average, right? $500 per visit. Well, if someone's buying $500 package, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and they could save 50 to $200 to $300 today, well, guess what? Once you tell them, hey, you could save $200 today, can I tell you a little bit more about my memberships? Because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Well, now
Hmm.
we've entered a conversation of, okay, tell me more. Well, and then you can tell the benefits. So we
Yeah,
talk
I do.
about,
What does that well is for me is Amazon. Every time I check out from Amazon,
yeah,
they're like, this year you could have saved $500 or $37, and I'm like, oh man. But anyway,
right.
just an aside. But yeah, that's a great point.
So layering into that, number 3, offering up a sign up reward. Almost no practice does that. The difference of conversion is about 300%. Okay,
Mhm.
3 times more. If we look on average on a cohort basis, RepeatMD clients that offer sign up reward versus don't, they sell 300% more per month. Well, why is that? Well, it's immediate. It's
Mhm.
instant gratification. We're a society addicted to instant gratification. Like we know that. We
Yep.
love that. Okay, well, hey, when you sign up, you get this. Now you can work with your suppliers and make a little package of skincare samples. You could make it of a treatment that you might want to sell more of, an ancillary thing, maybe like a B12 shot. You can say, hey, here's a 15-minute Sculpt Neo demo. You can have
Mhm.
fun with the sign up reward to show other parts of your practice. And that's another quick hack. So, just of those 3, we're selling more memberships by showing the pricing, showing the value, and a sign up reward, right?
Mhm.
So those are fundamental steps.
Like it. Yep. Love it.
Okay, 4, really important, almost never done. Host a membership launch party, host membership events.
Yep.
Okay, who does a great job? American Express Platinum, your
Mhm.
local country club, AmSpa,
Mhm.
right? So think
Yep.
about it has to mean something to be a member. You guys are so great at this. How often do y'all talk about what can we do for our members, Alex?
I mean, every day. That's all we talk about. It's all we try to talk about. Sometimes I wish we talked about it more, to be honest. But yes, you're right.
And that's the point. A lot of people sell memberships for the cash it could potentially generate, and they forget the plot. The plot is value. The
Right.
plot is it means something to be a member. If all it means to be a member at your practice is you charge me $100 to $200 a month, you're fucking toast.
Hmm.
That's never going to work. People are going to cancel consistently because that's not value. And even
Mhm.
worse, if you're doing this, I'm telling you, the data will tell you every day of the week that this is the wrong thing to do, is when you do the whole no rollovers. Oh, it's $200,
Yeah.
$150 a month. But if you accrue something because you went on vacation and all
Yeah.
of a sudden it cancels where I don't get I don't get the thing that I spent on. So
Yeah.
think about this. You're a
Yep.
patient and your mission is to transform patients' lives. You love patients, you want to help them. They go on a two summer, they're gone for 2 months of the summer for whatever reason. They don't make it to your practice. And they come in on that third month and they're like, hey, I'd like to claim whatever it is, right? It could be they're doing an IV membership, it could be facials, it could be credits, whatever. And you say, oh, I'm so sorry. We actually don't do rollovers. So that expired.
Hey, everybody, this is Alex Thiersch, and I want to thank Nextech for their support of this podcast. Why settle for just keeping up when your business can be the trailblazer? Aesthetically Speaking, presented by Nextech, is the podcast where beauty meets business, keeping you ahead in this ever-changing world of aesthetic practices. Each episode, proven experts from various areas of the field provide tips and tricks that will take your practice to the next level. Pair the podcast with Nextech MedSpa, their sleek, modern software solution built to scale alongside every phase of growth for the lifetime of your business. You can book appointments faster, easily collect payments, and drive revenue through the roof. With an end-to-end personalized platform built specifically for your needs, your team won't have to fit into a one-size-fits-all software anymore. Follow and subscribe to Aesthetically Speaking on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts, and visit nextech.com to book your demo now. Hey folks, this is Alex Thiersch, and thanks to our sponsors, RepeatMD. Big news! RepeatMD is giving away $150,000 in cash and luxury prizes this October. Rolex, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and it all ties to the biggest virtual training event of the year for med spas and wellness practices. And it's free to all our listeners. It's called Sell More This Holiday Season, and it's happening Tuesday, October 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. This live virtual event is going to show you exactly how to avoid the 5 profit killers that drain holiday revenue, turn gift cards and skincare into your number one revenue driver, just like Dr. Rajani, who sells over $10 million a year, steal the top holiday promos that 7-figure practices run, and even double your membership sales in 30 days. And here's the kicker. This isn't just another webinar. It's also the official launch of RepeatMD V3. 2 years and $20 million in the making. V3 is the first system designed to automate your revenue, so you can sell more without doing more. So, if you're someone who's serious about making this your best holiday season ever at your practice, you need to be there live. Register now at repeatmd.com/sell more. That is repeatmd.com/sell more. And I'll put a link in the show notes. And again, it's Sell More This Holiday Season, hosted by RepeatMD. Tuesday, October 21st. Free to attend, $150,000 in prizes. Don't miss it. Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to that patient?
Well, at a minimum, you're going to have a conversation, and it's going to be awkward. And most people, they're not going to be happy.
They're not going to be happy. They're going to their competitor. They're immediately canceling. It's like you work so hard to build these relationships. It's such a dumb thing to do to ruin a relationship.
Now, do you propose that happens year over year as well? I mean, like airline miles kind of thing, where you can stack up a million.
So I've got a lot of hacks for this. I propose that it never happens. And I propose that they can convert what they're spending to dollars to spend on something else.
Mm-hmm.
I also propose that they can bring a friend. Hey, why don't you let some of these things that you've accrued and bring a family member? Mm-hmm. They paid for it already. It's their money. It's their value. Mm-hmm. Why don't they bring a friend? Why don't they bring a cousin? Why don't they bring their sister? Why don't we make a thing about it to help drive our patient acquisition cost lower?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, hey, it's not a bad thing if Phil hasn't been in 4 months and he's accrued these things. When he comes in, let's celebrate him. He's a member. He's a VIP. He's somebody. And say, Phil, you've got these 4 credits. Use it, whatever. Why don't you bring a couple friends at this next time, and you can actually use your credits on your friends? You know what I would say? I love this place. I have friends, just a few, but I got some, and then I'll bring them in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and you get one or two of those to become patients, and it's
And
already
that's what I'm
paid for
saying.
itself.
Be intelligent. Don't be greedy. Be
Yeah,
intelligent. And
yeah.
so going back to the membership launch party, it should feel like a party.
Hmm.
Okay. One of the hacks in this world is use your relationships with the suppliers, the skincare companies,
Hmm.
the device companies. Hey, I'm hosting a membership launch party, or hey, I'm hosting a memberships Christmas party. Okay. I need you guys to provide this. Most people don't know that they have budgets for this. Your suppliers and your vendors all have budgets for things like this exactly where they can represent
Yep.
their brand.
And they have local budgets, and all the reps have local budgets.
Exactly. Call them immediately. Tell them you're hosting a Christmas party. Make it a
Hmm.
membership party. Let them bring a plus one. Give that plus, because think about it, if I'm going to a party, it's networking. I'm a little uncomfortable. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like
Yeah,
I don't really. It's not my thing.
I don't
Yeah,
believe you're uncomfortable at these things.
you're actually pretty good at it, Alex, especially with all your different outfits. But
That's
anyways,
true. When in doubt, dress up. Like,
exactly. Let them bring a plus one.
yep,
Let them bring their friend.
yep.
Now you have even a bigger party, right?
Hmm.
And on these parties, I'll say it shouldn't feel like a sales event. It should feel like I'm going there to meet a group of people that are like-minded, similar values, but also educate me on something, right?
Yeah.
Why not do a demo? Why not talk about whatever's relevant? Why not talk about that new device? Or why not talk about weight loss? Make it an event. So if I'm hosting an event and say it's not a Christmas party, but it's any other, hey, why not do a weight loss event? Bring in a nutritionist, have healthy food, bring in some of my supplier and vendors. Why not make it something where I can meet new people
Hmm.
and I can learn something? But here's another hack: no alcohol.
Really?
And the reason why no alcohol is because alcohol becomes a star of the show. Everyone starts
Hmm.
talking about the wine and the liquor and the this, and all of a sudden, a few free drinks and the focus is gone. And try this
Hmm.
next time you have an event. Have an alcohol event and then try to do a non-alcohol event. And you'll notice that the alcohol becomes a star of the show. People lose focus, they get so loose, etc., that they start losing, and it becomes more of a social hour versus something that
Hmm.
you want, which is an educational event that converts and closes people. And so
Interesting point.
those are some things to think about there.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting point. Yeah, I like it.
So, so do mocktails,
Yeah,
do something fun,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
try without alcohol and see the difference,
Okay.
especially if it's an educational event.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, continuing down this route, let
Yep.
everyone be a member for a day. Have a membership promotion where anyone gets 20% off or whatever. That's not Black Friday. Theme it
Hmm.
as member for a day, right? So you have the opportunity for people to feel those benefits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a little one.
Yep.
Early in the year, December, late in the year, December, January, we see an increase of 40% increase in membership sales.
Okay. Like around the holidays and right after
Of
the first of the
course.
year. Yep.
Well, I wonder why that is,
Hmm.
right? New
Right.
year, new you.
Yep. Exactly
J-
right.
Every January, that should be your month to do a membership sale.
Hmm.
1 month free, 50% off, a big sign up bonus. You need to lean in very hard in January. That is the number one membership month. It starts in the December, right? Because people are buying gifts, people are thinking about themselves, thinking about the new year. But really, you see the spike in January. So
Right.
focus your January promotions on being a member, the value of being a member, the promotion of being a member, right? 50% off the first month, 1 month free.
Right.
RepeatMD, we have the opportunity to do all these things where it's like very systematic. People can buy from home, but just in general, that's a huge piece of that.
Yep. Yep. Love it. That's awesome. Yep.
And then the final one is celebrate member loyalty.
Hmm.
It is a very awkward experience if I've been a member for 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years, and no one knows my name, no one knows anything about me. I don't get any bonuses, I don't get anything. So what we call them is milestone bonuses. Happens automatically in RepeatMD. 6 months, boom, they get a special gift,
Right.
whatever it is. If you can track it yourself, track it yourself. But you want to make a member feel like they're the only person that matters,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You always have the medical spa show at the Win. What is
Yep.
the Win really good at, right?
I mean, it's a lot of things.
making people feel like they matter that spend a lot of money.
Yes,
Like
that's right.
that's what they're very good at, right?
Yes, that's right.
If you spend a lot of money, you're the only person in the room for the win. And the reality of that is the same thing is that people are spending and they've chosen you. They've chosen you to come often and bring their friends and come to these events. My God, who in your practice is responsible for membership concierge? Who is the VIP concierge, right?
Mm,
Who is the one who knows? Who's the one that obsesses? Who's the one that knows about Phil and his interest? And when he gets the gift, it's something relevant to him. Who knows that I have a 6-year-old daughter doing jujitsu? And by the
mhm.
way, I got this for her, or I got this Labubu or whatever it's called for your
Yeah,
daughter.
yeah, yeah. God, I just
Right. So
learned about the
just
boo-boos.
think about like those are yeah, exactly. Those are little things, little touches that if like you start doing these things, one out of these 7 things, and we went over 7, by the way. So it's
Yeah,
just like, so
yeah,
like if you start doing 1 or 2 or 3 or one per quarter, you're gonna sell more memberships. And
yeah,
the other side of the membership of revenue rainbow is predictable revenue
yep.
that your practice can count on. And on average, members spend 44% more in a year than non-members. A lot of that
And
has to do
and
with frequency.
and real quick, you mentioned this at the beginning. I want to make sure I get it for our listeners. That is there a benchmark that you're shooting for that for a membership? I think you said, are you expecting your membership to be paying for your overhead? Like, or are you back?
That's benchmark number one.
Okay.
So another little tip, we have in the cohort that does this versus that don't,
Yep.
the ones that incentivize their staff 600% more on average than those who don't. The difference
Mhm.
between 2,000 a month and 12,000 a month is guess what? The team, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
and a lot of times I think incentives really confuse people. Like, oh my God, I have to track everything in this, and they
Yeah.
didn't check out at the register. Look, I worked in restaurants. I get it. The easiest way to do it is a monthly goal with a team raffle. That's
Hmm.
it. It's, hey,
So
if we do 4,000 this month, we unlock this gift. I'm a big giveaway guy,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
unlock this gift and we raffle it, but it's a team goal, and everyone has to sell one to unlock it. Because you're gonna have Sally Sue sell 15,
Right.
and you're gonna
Right.
have Sandra sell one. Okay, make it a team goal. If you can track it, even better. Each entry, you can up the odds, right? But make it a team goal and unlock it.
Yeah.
And
That's
and you can do it quarterly, you can do it monthly. It doesn't always have to be, I have to track everything. No, no, no. You don't always have to make things, you don't have to do analysis paralysis, make things so hard that you never get
yeah.
off your ass and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you said that was the first benchmark. Are there others for what that should cover, or is that kind of the main one you like to focus on? Cover
So
your
I like to focus on if, again, you have your accountant, you have your CPA, you have whoever, what is my overhead cost? Right? What is
Yep.
what is my rent, for
Yep.
example?
Yep.
And I love goals that are very visual.
Yep.
My rent is $4,762. Our first quarter, our first month membership goal is $4,762.
Yep.
Why? Well, folks, talking to my team, that's our rent. And our goal is to cover our rent. Our goal is to
Hmm.
cover our rent. It's a rally cry. People get it. It's visual.
Yep.
It's understandable. People hate arbitrary bullshit numbers.
Right.
Hey, our
Right.
goal is $10,000 a month, but we don't even have a single membership.
Right.
It's already deflating,
Right.
right? Get your team involved, create a goal, and then, hey guys, well, our electricity is 2,000 a month. That's our goal this month. And by the way, once we cover all of these things, we're going to go to New Orleans for 3 days, whatever it is,
Right.
right?
Right.
We make our teams involved in a way that it feels like their everyday efforts are attributing to the company's success,
Yep.
and that becomes
Yep.
addicting. People,
Yeah. For sure.
I myself am a millennial, and millennial and Gen Zs gets bad raps, what, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'll tell you, from having 1,200 employees that were all in their 20s and some in their teens, they are incredible if they feel like they matter. They
Hmm.
hate feeling like a cog in the machine. They hate it. But if
Hmm.
they feel like their everyday efforts matter to your success, to their success, I think they're incredible. But if you treat people like they're cogs in a machine, they're going to act like a cog in the machine.
Right. Right.
And so I think it's worth the investment to spend the time with them.
I like that. That's awesome. I mean, a lot to think about, right? And there's, especially with everybody doing it now, everyone's got a membership. I mean, is there any advice on, when you're talking about kind of competing memberships? Everyone's like, for instance, I'll say, and I've said this myself, I've got a membership for everything. I don't know if I want to spend another on another membership. It's like, well, the savings ultimately, especially for something like aesthetics, where like you're going to be spending, if you're doing it right, you're spending enough, it's worth it, you're investing. Um, any advice on that, on kind of sales tactics for how you kind of get over some of those objections? Because they're with a membership for gas stations and Costco and God knows everything else, how do you kind of get over that membership fatigue?
So what I'll do for your listeners, I'll send you a link for a 25-page membership playbook
Oh, it's awesome.
that like has all of our best advice on it. It even has a video that we did with some of the best-selling practices on what they
Yeah,
specifically do. So we'll do that as a gift. I'll send
that's
you the
awesome.
link.
Love it.
I would say just on the topic very quickly, a lot of it has to do, are you selling the right memberships? And are you
Right.
keeping up with industry trends? So as an example, what used to be really popular was tier-based memberships. You're a
Mhm.
gold member and you get one of these treatments per month.
Right.
Those are not popular anymore. Patients don't like them, they don't want them, they cancel. Okay.
Mhm.
What is super popular now? Well, the two obvious ones are weight loss and peptides. Those are very
Mhm.
obvious. Those are like you if you're not doing those or if you can't do those, well, you're missing out because like that is a huge driver of volume. Okay.
Right.
Of our membership revenue, that's about 40% of our membership revenue as a company in large, right? So it's like just those two. And then the top selling one, right? Not terms and revenue because they're cheaper, right? Weight loss can range between $200 and $700 a month. But they do have a high churn rate, right? At month three, people start can't like they're like, oh, I lost the weight. It's only 90
Yeah.
days.
Right.
The one that people sort of I don't think they sleep on as much anymore, but it's like a surprising one is beauty banks. So
Mhm.
beauty banks, it's like
It
being
used to be kind of the standard back in the day when I started. That was what it
Right.
was.
Yeah, and so now like beauty banks on steroids is the way to think about it. So for example, for those who don't know, it's like a savings account, a beauty savings account, right? So it's $200 a month, $100 a month, $300 a month. Okay, so we joke about why these exist. It flies under the husband radar, right? It's like
Yeah.
if you're putting $200 a month towards a thing, it's different than going to spend $1,000 on one transaction. So what's the benefit? Well, again, so we've got under the husband radar and we also have girl math, right? So you've seen the girl math trend. It's you get savings on everything else. So you're
Mhm.
saving, but also you're getting 10, 20% off of all of our items and services. So now I'm saving towards something and I get better
Mhm.
pricing and I get to go to the member events and XYZ,
Right.
right? So beauty banks very, very popular. So obviously we have that on RepeatMD, et cetera, but we also have now on as a feature on any membership where if you don't use the money that you're spending, the $49 a month for a facial membership or whatever it is, you can actually convert that into cash to go spend throughout the app, which has
Yeah.
been a huge reduction of churn. People they hate it if they accrue a bunch of memberships and they
Mhm.
either roll over or now you're like, well, Alex, you're a facial member. So that means now you have 17 facials. You're like, what
Yeah.
am I going to do with all this?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
you want to do? And here's the irony. You're going to say, I want to cancel. And they're going to say, if you do, then you're going to lose all 17 or
Right.
all seven or all three. I just experienced this at Stretch Labs. So I haven't, I need to stretch. A guy like me is real tight. So I need to,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't go for 4 months for whatever reason. I'm like, okay, well, I have a ton of credits. Like, let me go ahead and pause so I can use all this. They said, oh, well, if you don't continue to pay, then you're going to lose all those. I say, okay, well, can I give it to someone else? Like, what am I going to do with all these credits? I'm not
Yeah.
coming in 3 times a week. They said, no, you can't use it on anyone else. Well, guess what happened? I canceled. I'm never going back.
Right.
Right.
And you lost.
Like,
Lost.
and that's it. And they worked so hard to get me as a client.
Yep.
And you think I'm the only one? Absolutely not. That happens
Yep.
all the time. And
Yep.
then people wonder why they're in this weird death spiral because you forgot that your members are your VIPs. They spend 44% more on average per year. Some practices way more. And here's the beauty of it. If I've already spent something and I come in with a $0 I'm not spending anything there. You know how much easier it is for you to sell skincare or another treatment, right? When you buy
Hmm.
the concert ticket 2 months in advance, that's why, because you have all this disposable income to spend on concessions. That's
Yeah.
why Ticketmaster popularized that. They don't sell tickets. Do they have empty seats? Absolutely. You ever wondered why they don't sell tickets to empty seats? Because what they want is you to spend a ton of money on concessions.
Hmm.
Same
Hmm.
thing. I've already spent my money on my membership. I come in, I'm not swiping my card at all. Well, hey, have you thought about the skincare product? Well, guess what? Plated $250 for one little tiny 4 ounce thing.
Hmm.
And
Because
so
you've already kind of paid it. Yeah, that makes
these
sense.
are all the incremental opportunities. And also, when we go back to the beginning of the story, independence versus institutions, RepeatMD is getting an onslaught of enterprise clients reaching out to us, so like a ton.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, why? Because they know lifetime value. They know about memberships. They understand the value of rewarding a patient. You're never giving anything away. You are continuously buying their loyalty in advance,
Right.
right? It's like, oh man, I'm giving so much stuff away with my rewards program. Why do you think the biggest brands in the world have rewards programs?
Yep. They
They
all
all
do.
have them because it increases the lifetime value, it increases transaction size, it increases frequency of visit, and most importantly, you don't lose your customer to the oncoming competition, which
Right.
anyone has been around in this space long enough, there's been a lot of increase in competition.
Yep. Yep. No, I think it's a great point. And you have to continue. You can't just set it and forget it either. You've got to make sure that you're constantly watching, monitoring,
Yes.
evolving. Like I'm thinking of like airline miles and air and memberships. It's like they're constantly competing and you get kind of
Yes.
tired of some of the benefits and you want to move on to other ones. And it's just you've got to make sure that you're nimble and you're paying attention, because this is a fickle business. People will switch. They switch providers, they switch brands.
They
It's
leave with their esthetician when they open
Yep,
up a practice,
that's right. That's right.
XYZ.
Well, this has been a jam-packed episode, and you've got a lot more coming. So let's talk briefly about what you have coming up, because I know you've got V3, the next
Yep.
version of RepeatMD coming out, which I know you've been working very, very hard on, anticipating it coming out. It's very exciting. Congrats on that. Congrats on all the money raised too to be able to sink into this. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. You're also going to be doing an event to kind of roll that out, which I think will be awesome. I've seen some of the events you guys do. They're always incredible. I'm sure you'll give away a thing or two, and so those are always fun to watch.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about first the product, and then what you're going to be doing for this event, and how people can get signed up if they want to go.
Yeah, so it's all rolled into one, right? So October 21st, it's a Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're doing our Sell More This Holiday Season event.
Yep.
At that event, we're also launching RepeatMD V3, which I'll talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're having incredible speakers. We have Adam Haroon, we have Lisa Krause, we have Dr. Rajani, and a
Hmm.
bunch of others that are coming in to teach our, our listeners, the people that have registered for our event, how to sell more skincare and gift cards, how to double their membership sales in 30 days by practices who've actually done it.
Hmm.
You can learn a variety of things, right? How to sell treatments and packages, best e-com promotions to run during the holidays. It's very Q4 holiday themed, right? So it's when I say themed, it's very themed. It's a virtual event.
Hmm.
We're all dressed up, but it's a 2 hour educational pack. If you like the content of this, that's like highly practical and tactical, go apply it. That's the entire event, right?
Awesome.
And
That's awesome.
each person coming in to talk about um, their specific subject matter expert topic. So, Dr. Rajani, for example, he sells $10 million a year with skincare. Okay.
That's
He's got over,
insane.
and he's got a million followers on social. Well,
Yeah.
hey, wouldn't it be nice to hear from him how he does that?
I mean, just taking it, just a pearl of that, just one tiny little thing.
Right.
And
And that's my,
he's an amazing speaker too. He's a
exactly.
great all around person to listen to.
And that's my point is like, listen, we should be listening to success leaves clues. Let's listen to the people that have been there and done that.
Hmm.
And that's the format that we give at these virtual events. So, it's free to register. You can register at repeatmd.com/sell more.
Yep.
And you can claim your free ticket. And yes, we're also giving away $100,000 in cash, 50,000 in prizes, 2 Louis Vuitton bags, 2 Chanel bags, a brand new Rolex, blah, blah, blah. We call it
I
edutainment,
mean,
Alex. It's edutainment. It's education and entertainment wrapped into one. I kind of, this event is very much going to be like that classic Elvis Christmas extravaganza. That's like the
yep,
theme of the event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We try to, I think about it like this, you know, Spielberg spends $100 million to capture your attention for an hour and 30 minutes. We
yep,
better come in with, if we're going to get your time for over an hour, we need to deliver value that beats Spielberg's $100 million of entertainment, right? And
yeah,
if we can't do
yeah,
that, then we're not worthy of you tuning in or ever coming back. And
yep.
so every minute we try to ask ourselves, is this valuable? Can this help? Is this valuable? Can this help? And this is going to be the best event we've ever done.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I mean, yeah, the giveaways are always impressive. I'm always like, damn,
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
gotta up my game now.
Well, I
Gotta
want to
start
win.
giving away.
That's how I know. It goes back to being a member. The reality of being a member is this. Would you sign up for your membership? Would you sign up for your membership?
Right.
It's the same framework that I ask myself for an event like this.
Yeah.
Would I attend the event? Would I be excited? Would I say this was the most valuable virtual event I've ever been to? Would I want to
Right.
win 100K? Of course I would. Would I want to win a Chanel bag? Of course I would, right? And so that's the framework that we always ask ourselves, would I? And it's a
Yeah.
framework that,
Yeah.
it's a really healthy business owner perspective. Ask yourself, would I? And then fill
Yeah.
in the blank with whatever that is. And so,
Yeah.
to your point, also RepeatMD V3,
Yeah.
tons of exciting things. I'll give you two. There's five things we're releasing that day. Five different products we're releasing that day. I'll give you two of them just as a tease.
Okay.
So one of them is called Skin Drop. We've invested in a $5 million skincare warehouse to have all of the top brands where your
Hmm.
patients can buy whatever skincare they want from the brands that you've selected. You don't have to inventory it. You don't have to fulfill it. You don't have to ship it. You don't have to deal with refunds, nothing. You select the brands, it's on your app, they buy whatever they want. We send you 30% net profit on every single order. So no more inventory, no more headaches, no more anything, all incremental, right? Keep the skincare you have on your shelves, sell that, but stop losing the order to Amazon, the reorder. Stop losing the reorder to Sephora. Make it part of your
Hmm.
patient experience. So the Skin
Hmm.
Drop is something we've been working on. You can imagine the logistics of having a gigantic warehouse and
Yes.
dealing with all that. But
It's
imagine
crazy.
this, it's all part of the RepeatMD app now, right? And
Hmm.
in 10 minutes, you can set up your store and you can have all of the access that you personally want. You get to choose the brands, you get to choose what you like, and your patients have the ability to buy. So that's one out of five things we're releasing.
That's awesome.
The second thing we're super proud of, we've been working on this for a while because we wanted to make sure that um, it's going to provide value to the patients and practices in unprecedented levels. And so what that is our AI treatment advisors.
Yeah.
So typically today you'll see AI as some chat bot on the left or on the right or whatever that you can communicate with. So what's the difference? Well, we have Adonis and Aria. So as a patient downloads your app, you have the choice, right?
Adonis. I love it.
Adonis or Arya, right? So you have a choice. Who do you want? Who's your
Yep.
character? Okay,
Hmm.
I want Adonis or I want Arya. So let's say for me, I choose Adonis. Well, what does Adonis do? Well, as you're onboarding the app, your preferences, your purchase history, all of these things he learns about you, and he's fully trained on the catalog the practice has to offer because we have all the treatments. Well, now what can Adonis do? I can recommend hyper personalized treatments based off your preferences, what you will like in real time. So if I'm having a conversation of like, hey, I've got a wedding coming up, I'm like, what should I do? What should my glow up be for that? Adonis can recommend the two treatments that are most likely, right, recommended for that patient at that time, right?
Hmm.
And so that's one thing. Also, just like in Netflix, you know how Netflix will show movies that you think that
Yeah.
Alex would like? Same
Yep.
concept. If you have 30, 40 treatments, wouldn't it be nice to have a specific array of treatments specifically meant for Alex that,
Yep.
4 or 5 things based on your frequency, your purchases, your history, and what you've told us you like. And so that's another layer.
Yep.
And one more layer is the ability to actually sell something. So we see, I got a call last week, Adonis sold an $8,000 package. Well, how?
Hmm.
Patient was asking, recommended this thing, then you can click, add it to your cart, finance with the firm, it's done. So
Right.
you imagine that call that the person's actually gonna be on the webinar is one of our beta users. Imagine the call, my God, AI just sold an $8,000 package for me. The guy felt like he invented AI. You know,
Yeah.
like
And you
he
don't,
felt
I
like
mean, there's
I
no
am the master.
commission, there's
I
nothing.
am the
It's amazing.
master of the universe.
Yeah. That's
You know.
awesome.
So and then situational awareness. So imagine a patient goes on your app and it's, the Labor Day sale, since we just did that. Well, Adonis or Aria can actually surface to you and say, hey, Alex, good to see you again. Remember how we talked about this treatment? Well, it's actually,
Yep.
we're doing a 20% promotion.
Right.
Boom, be able to click and buy. So
Yeah.
what we track are
That's
hours
awesome.
saved and then deals closed, or sales,
Hmm.
right? So
That's
hours
incredible.
saved and then sales. So it's a brave new world. It's like, how
Yeah.
do we use AI to enhance the patient experience,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times people are using AI and it's like it feels like you're using AI. It actually has a reverse effect. Like someone sends you an AI message and it has the little M dash. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
this is not thoughtful at all anymore. This is like AI is
Yeah.
talking to me.
That's kind of it's like the pushback now. It's like, could you really just send me an AI thing? Come on, let's go.
Exactly. So that's where a lot of people are getting it wrong now. Why we waited. We want to delight the patient. We want to make things better. We want to make things faster. We want to make things intelligent and personalized. A lot of AI chatbots are like, guys, we hated the world of automated chatbots.
Hmm.
AI is that, but like lipstick on the pig. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to talk to that. Like nobody wants to deal with that. But
Yeah.
what they do want is something intelligent and personalized to them. What they
Hmm.
don't want is some automated chat bot that like just surfaces things that you're like, okay, well, I could have booked. I didn't need this. I just wanted the link to call to practice. Like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Right.
So, so,
Right.
so, anyways, you got to be careful with it. We have been careful with it. Patients are loving it. Practices are getting a lot of success from it. It's buying back their time and it's helping them close more sales, which is, in my small business world, is like that's a home run. Anytime
Yeah.
that we get a patient to get a better experience in a practice, to have the freedom of that a business can create, not the prisoner of their business, which, the reality is a lot of these celebrity injectors are prisoners of their own business. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, well, you actually don't need to be a celebrity within the space to have freedom. You can actually create the freedom within your business. And the final piece I'll say about that is like, I know that it's sexy and cool to be like, man, what if private equity buys me? Well, here's the sad reality of that, folks. You have to do an earn out and you become an employee of your own business. And if you don't hit your goals, you get diluted. And most people don't hit
Hmm.
their own goals because the
Hmm.
goals sound great and all sounds good. But now you've just given up the freedom of ownership to be an employee of private equity. And if you don't hit your own goals, you actually don't make the money. And
Yeah.
so right now it's new for everybody. So people think it's the
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
I'm sure you're already hearing the horror stories,
Hmm.
but 2, 3 years from now, the horror stories will be very loud. And so you got
Hmm.
to be careful, folks. Like the end of the rainbow is not selling, your soul to a different company and becoming an employee. The end of the rainbow, at the end of the day, what you're after is freedom that owning a
Yeah.
business could actually give you. And maybe you can do both. Maybe you can
Yeah.
have the freedom and have the profitability.
Yeah. For sure. I think that's right. I think that's absolutely. I mean, on all accounts. I mean, AI is going to change things, but it's how you use it, right? And kudos to you guys for taking the time to try to do it right and to have and to have it actually make an impact. Because you're right. Nobody likes the rote kind of chatbot thing that just it doesn't seem real. It's
Mm-mm.
everything seems kind of it's just that almost like we've hit a plateau, but obviously we haven't. We're going to keep going with AI, but you're right. There's like a kind of a little bit of fatigue with just kind of the standardized AI stuff. So, but that's for sure going to change. So, congrats on that. And then absolutely the freedom and time is what it's about. And I think the honeymoon for private equity is going to be fast over for folks once they start realizing kind of what that consists of. Um,
It
but
all sounds great if it's early, right? One to
Yep.
2 years when you're doing it, wow, and it feels so helpful and it feels like a sigh of relief. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
And by the way, I think that there's incredible partners that are doing it right. My
Yeah,
favorite
for
in this
sure.
space is Alpha Partners, John Wheeler. I think he
Yeah.
does it right, but there's a lot that does it wrong. Here's one crazy thing. I know you know this brand. This goes to show you that the institutions don't really have it all figured out. in a way that is like a resounding failure. Everybody raises over $50 million going out of business, all locations closing. You raise $50 million creating the med spa of the future and completely collapses, game over. They're a shell of what they once were. You know, locations closing all over, probably all will be closed by the end of the year. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what's happening. That's what you can read. But that goes to show you money doesn't solve the patient experience.
Not at all. No.
And so if you are one of those one locations, I'm telling you, if you are intelligent and you use your heart and soul running your business, you can win at the highest levels and you can do it on your own terms. But if you don't get intelligent and you just like run your business as an artist would, it's not going to be easy for you, right?
Yeah.
Because business is an intellectual sport. It's an intellectual sport. You have to surround yourselves with the tools and with the resources, with the people that can help you win.
That's awesome. I think we should leave it at that. So October 21st, and repeatmd.com/sell more this holiday season. Is that
just /sell more? Yep.
Sell more. Gotcha. And Phil, hey, it was great to have you. Appreciate all the insight. You're always just kind of a fountain of information. You're very, very generous with what you share, which is what we want. So I appreciate that.
Of course.
Very much appreciate you taking the time. And I'll see you out in the walk in the women's conference in a couple of weeks.
Yes, super excited about that.
And so that'll be awesome. And you can hear more about RepeatMD there if you're going to be there. All right. See you soon, man. Thank you.
See you. Thanks.
Was all the clips for the podcast and post them to our social feeds. Our music is by Ghost Score. Thank you for listening to or watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our show notes or in the description below.